to the Spoilercast, the show where we talk about movies and we don't care about spoiling them because it's the Spoilercast. My name is Tobias, and with me, as always, is my sister and trusty co-host Rebecca.
Hello.
Hello. And in today's very, I guess, special episode, we are going to talk about Denis Villeneuve's sci-fi, well, it's not really sci-fi, sci-fi fantasy epic Dune. And
Sci-fi adventure drama, according to IMDb.
yeah, it's not really sci-fi though, because there's no explanations to any of the tech in the movie. If this was a proper sci-fi movie, they'd be like, this thing works because of this and this. It's just, it's more fantasy than sci-fi.
Yeah, fantasy.
Anyway, sorry about that. Yes, we're recording this on the 14th of September, which is technically one day before the Swedish premiere. But for some reason, they just had tickets to a regular screening, so we went.
They had 3 screenings on the day before the premiere. No specific reason given or anything, but hey, when you get the chance, you take the chance.
Yeah, why not? But we're releasing this, of course, on Thursday, so at this point, the movie should be out in Sweden and some other countries.
Most other countries, and you should have been able to watch it before you listen to us spoil it completely.
Yes. Of course, if you're on Patreon, you know what? Since we're recording this early, I'm going to put this on Patreon early.
Yeah.
Because why not? Yeah. So if you want to...
Patrons have already been warned.
Exactly. And that's also a good plug. If you want more content, we have exclusive episodes. We have early access to my other podcast, Madness in the Method. We have early access to videos, commentary tracks, bunch of stuff.
Early access to these.
Yes,
episodes as well.
Or even exclusive videos. Please check us out on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. Links are in everywhere down below and wherever you're listening to this.
Yes.
So check us out there to support the show. But anyway, let's move on to the actual episode. And I'll just come out right out of the gate, right out of the bat, and say that I didn't want to see this movie. Believe it or not, it's the talk of the town this fall. It's the big release, It's Denis Villeneuve, it's Timothée Chalamet, it's Dune. But I didn't want to see it.
Despite being a big fan.
Oh yes, huge fan of the book or the books, I suppose. I didn't want to see it. Because I'm one of those annoying Dune fans who believe that the book cannot be made it cannot be made, what's it called?
Yeah, I don't know of another word than justice.
Oh, sorry, you said justice, sorry, I didn't hear you. Stupid Discord. It cannot be made justice as a movie. It's too much. You can't be made into a movie. Well, Mr. Villeneuve had a remedy for that. He made 2 movies. Or he made 1 movie, and if that one went well enough, they'll make a second one. And we'll get into why I don't think that's going to happen. But anyway, I didn't want to see this. And you hadn't read the book?
No, and I have not seen the
David Lynch movie.
I just went into this knowing very little, hearing you talk about the Dune phenomenon for ages.
Well, yeah.
And honestly, seeing the first trailer and being like, that looks kind of cool.
Right. So we went and saw it. And saw it we did.
Yes, so all 2 hours and 30-something minutes.
Yeah. So we'll start with your opinion. Because we'll save mine for later. Because we tried to say as little as possible before we got home. This is literally like an hour and a half since we saw the movie.
We even went on the train together and tried not to talk about it.
Yeah. But what did you think of the movie?
I liked it, yeah. I'm not going to say it's a perfect movie. I'm not going to say it's the best movie ever, but I liked it.
Elaborate, please. What did you like about it?
It's pretty. It's very stylish. I like the acting. I like the storyline. I did like the world building, although there are some things I have an issue with there. But I like the world, I guess, that Dune takes place in. I loved the music. All in all, it's a pretty movie.
Sure.
And the adventure and story did not disappoint.
Was there anything you didn't like about it?
Some of the like backstory, world building elements that they sometimes touched upon, but not enough, so that we understood it enough. If you haven't read the book,
sure, yes,
or watched the old movie, I suppose.
No.
I don't know.
Well, we'll get to the old movie
unless
later.
You've done any backstory research,
Sure, yeah,
of any kind, because I have not, like we said. So when they started talking about the savior and the Baba Ganoush was not the word.
The Kwisatz Haderach.
No, what they call the ladies.
The Bene Gesserit.
That's the one.
The witches, yeah.
Yes.
Their plans reach us for centuries.
And they had another name as well when the
the Fremen have a name for their Messiah and his mother, which I can't remember at this point. It's something.
No, but he called the mother something specific, like, oh, she's a witch, but he said something else. There's a bunch of words that just
there's a lot of words, a lot of languages. Yes, a lot of languages that are never really developed in the book. It's not like Tolkien. He didn't like develop Elvish and Orcish and
language.
He made up certain words, but then everyone just speaks English,
which I can appreciate. But
yes.
It's nice when you can like get a proper explanation then, which you do.
You do in the book. Everything is there's the typical fantasy book. You have an entire index which you can just look through if something doesn't make sense.
I did buy the book today as well, so
yes,
we'll talk about that on the Patreon episode.
we'll get to that on the Patreon episode, yeah.
But yeah, I think some of the like lore kind of was touched upon, but not developed enough for me to understand it with no background.
Sure.
And that's a little bit annoying. And then, of course, I did not know that it was supposed to be 2 movies.
I really thought everyone has been talking about that. I thought you knew about that.
Really stayed away from anything after the first trailer.
Even when it said Dune Chapter 1 in the opening titles.
I was
just
like,
thought it was, Chapter 1, we'll get Chapter 2 later.
Yeah, because it's a 2.5 hour long movie.
Yeah.
I figured they like put title card. They do that in some movies, especially long movies.
Yeah, some movies are.
And there were perfect places to actually put a like pause and.
Two.
But no. I could have gotten this movie to 3 parts if I wanted to.
Well, then they would have been kind of short.
Yes. But like how you could see clear breaking points where, and we move on to the next thing.
Oh, sure, yeah. So yeah, overall, you liked it.
I liked it. I'm not gonna recommend everyone to go see it though, because it is 2.5 hours long. Maybe watch it at home.
Yeah. It's not really made for general audiences, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, you have to have a specific interest in, I suppose, Dune specifically, but maybe even film.
Yeah.
To even want to see this.
It's not a Marvel movie.
No, but you will have people going and see it just for Timothee Chalamet. And Zendaya.
Yeah.
And some of the other actors as well, because there's a bunch of big name actors in this one.
Well, people going to see it for Zendaya are going to be a little bit disappointed because she's not in the movie much. And that's yes, that's one of my problems with the movie. I'll just say it. Now I'll get to my opinion. Yes. I thought it was fine. Which sounds very weird to say about such a big production like this, because it's obviously like a lot went into making this movie. You can see all the money on screen. It's not just a bunch of CGI. Yes. But as a not lifelong fan, but I've been a fan of the book for like 20 years. And I've read the book a couple of times. It's been a while since I read it, but I was thoroughly unimpressed by most of it because I'd seen it before, and I'd even read it before, and the way I imagined it when I read it. Actually, and then maybe that's an unpopular opinion. The way I read it and imagined it in my head when I read it actually coincided more with the David Lynch movie. I don't know, the aesthetic made more sense in the David Lynch movie, even though that's more all over the place. But that's kind of a thing, because here everything kind of looked the same.
Everyone looks very samey. It's very stylish.
Yeah, like all the buildings on Caladan, the Atreides planet, the rainy planet. Yeah. Everything was it was big, brutalist, architecture. Yes. Big buildings. Everything looks like it's all straight lines, and big empty rooms. And then you get to Giedi Prime, where the Harkonnen lives, and it's darker, but it's all big, brutalist architecture. Big giant rooms that are empty. Blocks. Yeah, concrete blocks. And then you get to Arrakis, and it's big, empty rooms with straight lines and big concrete blocks.
This time they're at an angle, though.
Oh, sure, yeah, they're at an angle. Brutalist architecture. Yeah, even some of the stuff with the herald for the emperor, Elite Kynes, her building she had built with the Fremen out in the desert. That was right. Not her, but her predecessor had built a long time ago to try to terraform the planet. It was all
whatever they called it.
Yeah, it was all big, empty concrete buildings, brutalist architecture. The only thing that didn't look, the only thing that didn't look like that was the Fremen, but we didn't really get to see their villages or siege, as they call it.
No.
But I'm wondering, is that going to look the same?
Well,
they live in caves. It really can't. Yeah. But maybe they've carved out big, brutalist-looking caves, giant empty caves. I don't know.
Where
it all looked the same. While in the way they described it in the book and the way they kind of captured that in the David Lynch movie is that stuff on Caladan, it kind of looked like. It definitely had a bit of a brutalist style to it with all the big rooms, but it was more medieval looking, almost like they had castles. It almost felt like you were in a medieval movie.
Yeah.
While Giedi Prime, the Harkonnen planet, was all technology, the kind of technology you don't really see in the movie because it's so far into the future they don't even have technology anymore, which there is an explanation for in the book, not really in the movies. Well, that's not important, really. It's just an aesthetic.
No, but you're trying to say that they differentiated from the different people.
Yeah,
and their style, not just looks, which they kind of did here.
Sort of,
kind of loosely.
And then when they got to Arrakis, it was that was the one that kind of looked like this movie, but it was just much smaller. It looked like kind of a Middle Eastern country.
Yeah.
When they got to the city. Arrakeen. So I preferred that. This still looked good. Mm-hmm. It was all very well designed, and I like brutalist architecture. We've talked about that before. I think that's awesome. Yes. So I liked that, and I liked that everything was huge. All the ships were giant, which is also a kind of a thing in the books and in the first movie or the David Lynch movie. But sometimes it just felt like it was just too big almost. It was ginormous. Even smaller ships, like when the Bene Gesserits arrive on Caladan, their ship was 600 feet tall, and they were just transporting 5 witches. Why does it have to be that big? I guess it fits with the aesthetic, but it didn't make sense.
Yeah, some of the design features are a bit odd. I can understand why you want to make things big and grandiose, but doing the same thing for 3 different planets and peoples is kind of odd. And then you had the ships being even stranger shapes that didn't correlate to the architecture.
Yeah,
because you had an egg shape, you had monoliths, you had tunnels. But I'm not sure that was ships. That was just
that's them. Probably. That's them bending space.
Okay, yeah.
That was. I didn't like that they didn't go into detail about the space bending, because that's the whole thing with the spice. That's why everyone wants the spice. It allows you to bend space-time.
They mention it
barely. That's a whole sequence. Both in the book, it's a big sequence. In David Lynch, it's at least like a 3 or 4 minute sequence where they explain it and you see them bending space. Here, it's just it's a tunnel.
Yeah, and the visual of the tunnel didn't really explain either that they were like traveling through time there, or
no, unless you paid
or whatever.
Unless you knew that they were bending space time, you wouldn't even notice it, because
it just looked like tunnel, they were going through a tunnel.
Yeah, from one planet to another, which doesn't make sense, of course. But you don't think about it because they don't mention it barely.
No.
Yeah.
It even looked sort of like they were just going through the tunnel, and next to them was the same planet all the time.
Yeah.
At one point. Which, like, no, that's not what happened. I know that, but it looked like it.
Yeah, and since they spent so much time on other details, why not elaborate a little bit on this very crucial detail, like the whole reason people want to control Arrakis? How about you show us that?
Yeah. Because they went into detail on a lot of other things that felt very unnecessary.
Yeah.
Compared to
we got several explanations for the crysknife.
Yes.
We get at least 2 times they explained to us what a crysknife is, and we're like, yeah, we know. Why are you explaining it again to us?
Someone literally tells us specifically what it is, and then someone's like, it's a special knife. Yes, we've heard that. Shut up.
Yeah. So, a bunch of those things, and at certain points, I thought style took over substance.
Yes.
And
there are long shots of Timothee just walking and looking stoic.
Yeah. And while there is a lot of substance in the movie, it didn't need to be this long. Like, we had to make it long because it's such a big book. No, you could have cut some things down.
Yes. I was thinking about that before we started recording, actually, because I was like, yes, it's too long, and yes, you could cut things out, but everything that had story in it or events were more or less needed.
Sure, yeah.
But then you had all those quiet, stoic, just scenery imageries that maybe, no, you didn't need that.
No, they were just there to make it feel
mission
big.
Sequence could have been, like, removed, possibly, because they were very long and very repetitive.
Thing is, they are very important for the second half.
Sure.
I'll say this. We haven't really talked much about story.
Well, I can guess what the second half is going to be partially.
Yeah.
Because one longest vision is very telling.
Yeah.
Well, what the future
holds. That vision where they kind of go on as he says, a holy war in my name. That's actually like foreshadowing for the rest of the books as well. So it's not just it's not the second half of the movie, unless they.
That's
start adding
possibly
stuff.
What the second movie is gonna be. It felt like it.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah. That would be very strange because, well, I'm not gonna spoil the second movie for you. I'll spoil this movie for you, but no, but like where they cut, where this movie ended, that's kind of where the exciting stuff starts to happen in the in the book.
You kind of feel that too.
Yeah, because what we got here is basically setup for the second movie. This doesn't feel like an exciting movie in and of itself.
It does sort of have the same issue as the we mentioned the Resident Evil problem, where there's one entire movie that is just an intro.
Yeah, it's just them getting from A to B so they can start the final battle, and that's the next movie. This
kind of had that, but not too much. It still had substance. It still had excitement.
Oh, yes, but it did not have a beginning, middle, and end. It ends in the middle.
No.
Like an obvious... Even if you haven't read the book, like where this ends, you gotta say like, what? Is that the end?
Honestly, I think it would have ended better if it ended about 20 minutes earlier.
Yeah, like in the middle of the attack, when the Harkonnen come back and attack.
Yeah, or just as like
when they escape.
Escape, I guess. Or,
yeah, and they crash in the desert. There we could have a to be continued.
Yes, because that would have been a good ending, because they escaped.
Yeah, but their future is uncertain.
Enough to be like, the future is uncertain.
Yeah.
So they went a bit too far. They went about 20 minutes too long after that, and not counting the credits, because we didn't even sit around for the credits.
I really don't think there's a post-credit scene, since they haven't filmed anything for the sequel.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to hint at anything.
It wouldn't...
They might, but it doesn't really matter.
It didn't fit. It wouldn't have fit if they put a post-credit scene after this. Because the way they portrayed this movie, or sold it, I suppose, is more of a, like... No. I kept thinking, like, space opera.
Yeah, well, it kind of is. Yeah, that's a better word than fantasy movie. It's a space opera.
Because it is very, again, grandiose and like, big.
Oh, yes. Very big.
I don't know how else to explain it.
No, it's very
big.
It's bombastic.
Yes, bombastic, yeah. And you can't really, like, put a superhero twist at the end then with a post-credit scene. That would have just diminished it.
Yeah, that
would have bothered me, to be honest.
And I don't think a filmmaker like Denis Villeneuve would like to do that.
No. Doesn't fit his MO.
Yeah. He's a real filmmaker, even though I don't like all his movies. He's a real filmmaker.
Yes.
He's not a clickbait Disney filmmaker. Sorry.
Yes, and honestly, you could feel that too, because this movie, it is very... It's a film.
Yes. Yeah, this is one of those moments, even if I'm not super into it, there's definitely, like, there is the whole Marvel Disney thing that is entertainment.
Yes.
And this is a film.
It's a craft.
There is craft behind it in making it.
Yes. Not just only the design, but the oh, sorry, my cat was on the computer. You can turn it off. But in general, like the directing, the production, everything was very thought through. Like there was thought behind everything.
Yeah, and that's also why it is kind of long. The fact that he allows his actors to, like, move at the pace they need them to.
Yes.
And, like, have long shots of him just sitting there when he gets the visions. When the worm is approaching, like stuff like that. So while I would say, yeah, cut some of that stuff down, I still like that stuff is in there, because it's not just, oh, we just need to convey information and move on.
No, exactly. You still need to get the feeling that they are feeling, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. What I think, though, where it almost borders on just being entertainment, is that it did sometimes pander to, like, a mainstream audience. Like we said, the explaining of the Chris knife twice. We did not need that. That is just like, we need to hammer this home because people might forget. Or some of the dialogue that the lead kinds had was very, very expository. And while that's you need that in a movie like this, sometimes, like in the final battle between Paul. Sorry, I was going to say Leto Atreides. Paul and the Fremen, Jamin, something like that. They would, like, cut away from the fight to have the Fremen explain stuff to Rebecca Ferguson's character, the mother, Jessica.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, no, don't do that. Show us the fight instead. Like, oh, he's never killed a man before. Do we need to know that? Why didn't they explain that earlier in the movie, like, where it made sense, instead of telling us in the very end? That was
really one of the explanations I can agree on. Like, when...
well, that he must kill him.
Yeah, is he toying with him? Yeah, Javier Bardem's character, when he's like, is he toying with him?
Yeah.
That would have just... Does he not know the rules? That would have been enough.
Yeah, Jamis is the guy.
Yeah. Jamis,
it's a fight to the death, but he's never killed anyone.
You didn't have to add that he's never killed anyone. No. We kind of know that already.
Yeah, since he's
even though they haven't told us that, everyone's treating him like a child. Of course, he hasn't killed anyone yet. Then, because if he had, they would have treated him like a warrior.
And the way that is more or less explained through, like, character actions. Like, he's a very thoughtful, intelligent person.
Yes.
Like, I doubt he has just killed someone out of rage, especially at that young age, you know. And the position he has
Even his reluctance to like training sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like obviously he doesn't like fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
He wants to explore. He doesn't want to fight.
Yeah. So some of that stuff felt like they were pandering to the audience.
A little bit, yeah.
But it was very little. But the biggest problem with a movie for me was the fact that I was not impressed by it, because I had read it before and I preferred that version. Like, I mean that might happen to a lot of people, you know, that have read the book, because there's a lot of books made into movies. But I've never really had that before. Like, usually when I watch a movie that's based on a book, I can separate them. And I can still enjoy the movie even though I like the book more. But here it was just like, nah, better in the book. Even though all the effort that went into it, it was just like, nah, book was better.
Could it perhaps be because there's such a time difference between them? Because I realized as I bought the book that the book is originally written in like the 60s.
65, yeah.
Yeah. And you read it 20 years ago.
About 20 years ago. Maybe last time I read it was like 14 years ago. 15.
Yeah, but still, there's a bunch of years between that. You have had time to properly imagine what you see.
Oh, yeah,
when you read it. You've had time to explore what other people see, because there's probably fan art and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You have the other movie, obviously. And then all of a sudden, after so many years, they just present, this is what Dune is now.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we've already seen so many variants of it. Why should we appreciate this one?
Yeah. Yeah, and then...
But then coming in with fresh eyes, I'm probably going to prefer this one.
Sure.
The aesthetic of it, at least.
Oh, yes. Since you're watching this first, you're definitely going to prefer this one over the David Lynch movie.
Also, this is, in general, one of my favorite aesthetics.
Yeah.
So.
But then it's also... I don't know. Well, that's another reason why I don't think this would work as a movie, because so much of the book feels very... it's very stoic. All the characters are very stoic. They're very emotionless. Emotions serve a specific purpose for certain characters at certain moments, but they're not like they're not crying all the time or like having outbursts.
Yeah.
And in a movie you need that. Otherwise a movie can feel very clinical, which works for certain movies. But a movie like this, a big space opera with wars and explosions and, you know...
Yeah, you need emotions.
Yeah, and this movie, while it captured that they don't show a lot of emotions. The only one who really does that is Lady Jessica. Rebecca Ferguson. And that felt almost too much, like if you compare it to her character in the book.
Even just watching it, it felt like every other scene she was just bawling her eyes out, crying hysterically almost. And
it's understandable why, because she's putting her son in huge danger.
Sure.
But her training as a Bene Gesserit should prevent her from being that emotional.
Yes, and also like the things she's talking about with Paul and how she wants him to act and be, and how she is towards him.
She's training him to be Bene Gesserit.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing.
She's training him, and she is someone who is very calm and collected. Who's supposed to be able to handle their emotions. Yeah. But she can't. As soon as she's alone, she bursts into tears.
Yeah, and it's the whole thing that's the whole fear is the mind killer. It's that you're always supposed to be calm and composed, because otherwise you might make mistakes.
Yeah.
So you don't have a lot of emotions in the book unless when you're supposed to, and that did not translate over well into this movie. I thought it all felt very cold and like stripped down of emotions. Which, I mean, it's supposed to be, but for me, it didn't work in the movie. It's the same way in the David Lynch movie, and it works. I mean, it's been a while since I saw that movie.
Better?
No, not really, but it didn't bother me as much in that one. But there's so much else that bothers me in that one. I like that movie, but it's a tough watch.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll have fun for the Monday episode.
Oh, yes. Hint, hint. If you want to hear what Rebecca thinks of David Lynch's Dune, we're doing that on Monday for the Patreon exclusive episode. We're even doing a commentary track which it's going to be sort of a reaction track for you.
Well, I'm gonna try and see it before that. So
but still.
But one thing I really did like with this movie was basically all the acting, except for perhaps Rebecca Ferguson.
Yes, and that
wasn't completely convincing, which is
that's bad,
surprising
because I like her.
Yeah, she's a pretty good actress, and I mean, she's Swedish. We should like her.
Yeah, exactly. We're a little biased, but she's good in other movies.
Yes.
And here, she was the weakest link.
Definitely.
Even more than Zendaya, and I don't like her as an actress, but she's in it so little, so.
Yeah, she didn't have enough.
You know what she is in this, which is not very progressive, but that's because she's going to be more in the second movie. She's basically a pretty face in this one.
Yep.
Which is like, okay. But it's casting for the next movie.
Yeah.
But in this, it's basically, he dreams of a Fremen woman, and she's very beautiful. That's. Yeah.
I love how they.
That's it.
Because Timothee Chalamet is also considered a pretty person. I agree.
Well,
I can understand why people call him pretty. He's not handsome. He's pretty.
Sure, but I think that has more to do with his personality. He's not physically attractive, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Sure. Okay, maybe I just didn't.
But more, like I said, more pretty than handsome.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
There's a difference. While Zendaya's character looks more natural and rough, and therefore beautiful like nature, not just pretty.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So there's still some sort of like, it's not just pretty face.
No.
He's definitely the main pretty face that will sell this movie.
Yes, and that while Timothée Chalamet is a very good actor.
Yes. Even though I haven't seen him in a lot, to be honest.
You have seen him in a bunch of stuff. You just don't remember it because he blew up like a couple of years ago. The big one for me is in Lady Bird. He plays the pretentious asshole that she dates for a little while. That's when I noticed him. But then I went back and then, oh shit, he's been in a bunch of movies that I've seen when he was younger. Like he plays the older brother as a kid in Interstellar. He has a small role in Hostiles, but that's technically later. But still, he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's kind of blowing up. I mean, Call Me by Your Name, but that was.
I actually haven't seen that either. So.
Oh, okay.
I've only seen him in Interstellar, Lady Bird, Little Women.
Oh yeah.
And Dune.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, so I can actually say that.
Yeah, but for me, it feels like Zendaya is a little bit of stunt casting because she's popular. Because I don't think she's a good actress. She was good in Malcolm and Marie, and that's it.
Perhaps this will be where she can show that she is a good actress, though.
In this movie, no.
No, but like
there's nothing to do in this
where
movie.
They continue because she has nothing to do in this one. She has no space to show that.
And I don't like her as Mary Jane in the Spider-Man movies.
No, I can agree on that.
No, wait, she
not my favorite.
No, yeah, she's Mary Jane, right?
She's Mary Jane, yeah.
No, I don't like her in those. She's way too much. Okay, dude, whatever, guy. I don't know. And I haven't seen her in anything else though, except for Malcolm and Marie, Spider-Man, and this. She did Disney stuff, right?
She's a Disney star, yes.
Disney Channel star, yeah. That's why I haven't seen her before that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think that's kind of stunt casting because she's super popular.
Yeah.
I think the other ones...
Both of them kind of are, but all the adults, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, the older ones, yeah.
They are all just fantastic. Well, except for Rebecca Ferguson.
Well, Timothée Chalamet was also good. I don't want to say he's stunt. It is stunt casting because he's popular, but he's very good in the movie. That's also why he gets the parts he gets, because he's very good. But
he is a very good actor, and I am surprised to see him do some more physical stuff, to be honest.
Oh yes. There's a lot of like jumping around with knives and swords.
Yeah, even though I don't know if he did it.
Yeah, he probably did most of it.
Probably
he was obviously CGI'd when he was in the beige still suit when they were fighting out in the desert in the Vision. That was obviously just a stuntman, and they CGI'd in his face, but
also because it's a Vision, it was extra. It was all looking very fantastical and not real, so
yeah,
it's fine.
Everyone else was good. Did you notice that it was Stellan Skarsgård who played Baron Harkonnen?
The first time I was about to tap your shoulder and ask you. I was like, no, I'm not gonna ask. It has to be him. I'm just gonna.
Is that Bootstrap Bill?
Yeah, no, that was actually, I was like, reminds me a lot of the acting in Pirates.
Yeah, he was very good. Of course,
His character was horrible though.
Oh yes, yeah, he's
They
pure,
were like scary,
evil.
creepy, weird. What the fuck?
Yeah,
but he did a good job. What little acting he had to do for it, because it was mainly voice and eyes, I suppose.
Yes. And then of course Josh Brolin's always good.
Yes.
And he played Gurney Halleck
Captain
very well.
Something.
And then even like Jason Momoa, and that goes to show that when you have the right director, you can turn a mediocre actor into a great actor. Because as much as he's like charming, and I like Jason Momoa as a person, he's not the greatest actor.
No.
In stuff. Here he was great. He had range. Also, though, he felt like a character, even though he definitely put some of his own personality into the character.
Yes.
Because that's not how he is in the books at all. Or the book.
He didn't have too much to say. It was more physical acting.
Yes, and that's probably why they got more of a physical actor. Him. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when he speaks, that's always the same. He doesn't really know how to act that part properly.
No, but I thought he did a good job with that in this as well.
Especially, I like the chemistry that you could see between him and Timothee Chalamet.
Yeah, they had good chemistry.
You actually feel like, my god, they love each
other. And I knew he was gonna die, obviously, but I was like, come on! I like physically said, damn it, when he died, because fine, couldn't they change that? Because I would love to see more between Duncan Idaho and Paul Atreides, and you feel that way in the book too, and in the David Lynch movie. Like they have a great rapport, and you wish they had more to do with each other in the story, but they don't.
Someone who didn't know anything of the story, I was very surprised at the amount of main character deaths.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They basically being the first part, I suppose, the first half of the book. Then
they kill off basically all of the cast, other than the Fremen characters.
I suppose.
Duke Leto is dead. Gurney Halleck is dead. Duncan Idaho is dead. Leet Kynes is dead. I think Thufir Hawat, their Mentat, is dead as well. We don't see it though.
We don't see that though.
I think he might. I don't remember. I think he's dead. I mean, Harkonnen survives, and Raban, his nephew. But that's about it.
Because he's not on site.
Yeah. They kill their Mentat as well. Piter Vries.
Yeah.
They never mention him by name, but he's Piter de Vries or just Vries. I'm not sure.
He's listed as De Vries.
Okay.
Also a very good actor.
Yes.
I cannot pronounce his name.
No. I'm not sure either. I think it's Das Malkin, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't in it enough though. I've seen him in comedies. He was in Prisoners.
Well, his demeanor fits that kind of character.
Oh yes.
It was very good casting for that as well. That's one of my favorite things. It was a very good casting for this movie. Everyone felt very fitting for their role. What did you just realize?
I just realized my other podcast, the Nicolas Cage podcast, I call that Madness in the Method. That, because he's a method actor, or he was.
Yeah, and he's
that he uses madness as a method.
Yeah, he's gone a bit mad sometimes.
Yeah, I just realized that there's a movie from 2019 which Das Malkin is in, called Madness in the Method. Damn it.
Oh no, you stole the name.
And it's a movie directed by and starring Jason Mewes, Jay from Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh.
About Jason Mewes. Yeah, Jason Mewes attempting method acting in order to gain more respect for himself in Hollywood slowly descends into madness. Damn. Well, so luckily, not too many people are listening to that yet, so we won't be sued yet. Anyway, back to Dune. Yeah.
One of my favorite parts was actually the casting. I really
the casting was good, very good,
and of the casting more or less.
I can see it probably wasn't hard to
convince them.
Yeah, like if they had certain actors in mind, which you usually do for the bigger roles, you don't usually audition for the big roles.
No, you ask. Would you like this role?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't think a lot of people turn them down because, like, yeah, we're gonna make a huge, big budget, bombastic adaptation of Dune, one of the greatest books ever written. You want to be in it? Oh, sure.
Everyone's like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Denis Villeneuve is directing. Oh, thank you. Yeah, sure, I'll be in it. Yeah. So I can see why they got the dream cast, so to speak.
Looking at the writers as well, because Denis Villeneuve is one of the screenplay writers, but then you also have John Spaihts. I'm not sure who that is, and then Eric Roth. I recognize that name.
I don't know about Eric Roth. What has he done?
That's what I'm trying to think of, because I recognize the name.
He's written a bunch of drama fluff stuff.
He wrote Forrest Born.
Gump, Curious Case of Benjamin Button, A Star is Born. Ugh. Sorry, no, Forrest Gump is very good. Benjamin Button, A Star is Born. Sorry, I don't like him.
I've seen those two.
I don't like him.
But I recognize the name. Yeah, I guess he's a drama writer, I suppose.
Yeah, he is writing Killers of the Flower Moon, which is a Scorsese movie that's coming. So that's interesting. But the other guy, John Spaihts, he is one of the overdoing it. But he's one of the
Prometheus.
That's the thing. He's done Prometheus. Ooh, he did Passengers, big movies. But he's one of the most lucky writers in Hollywood because he'd basically done nothing. He was like straight out of film school and he wrote Prometheus. He
only did The Darkest Hour before that.
Yeah, they hired him.
Isn't that also kind of... No, I'm confusing that with something else.
Yeah. And he wrote this amazing... There's this documentary called Furious Gods about making a Prometheus.
Yeah.
Where they talk about that. John Spaihts, this new kid from nowhere, wrote Prometheus. And everyone loved it. Ridley Scott was like, yeah, this is the movie I want to make. But then... since he was basically a noob, the producer was like, yeah, but we need someone more experienced to touch it up to make sure that it's 100%. So then they got Damon Lindelof, that fucking hack, to touch it up. And what he basically did was rewrite the entire movie so that it became the Prometheus that was then shown in theaters. Because what John Spaihts wrote was a prequel to Alien. Well, I don't really care for a prequel to Alien. It's still what you hear about that story it sounded much more interesting. Damon Lindelof, since he likes, he wrote Lost together with J.J. Abrams. Yeah, he likes, mysteries and mysteries within mysteries, and we don't have to explain stuff. We'll explain it in the sequel. He wrote a prequel to the prequel to Alien.
Yeah,
and that's why Prometheus makes zero sense because they ruined John Spaihts' script. And then same thing with Passengers. He wrote a love story in space, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
But then they sold it as a sci-fi thriller, because that's how they showed it in the trailers.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's a love story. It's a drama. It just happens to take place on a spaceship. So nobody liked his movie because they sold it as something it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then I guess he wrote Doctor Strange, and that's fine, I suppose. I don't know how much he actually wrote of it, but he is credited as the writer.
Almost confirming something, though. He is credited to writing Dune Part 2, which is in pre-production.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that means it actually shows up. Because that was something we mentioned, that we're afraid that it's
never gonna be
not
made,
gonna be released because there is a risk of Dune not making enough, at least at the box office.
Yes. Well, it says Dune Part 2 pre-production. Pre-production means they haven't spent that much money yet. It's mostly been meetings and setting up a budget. So
and
we'll wait.
Going through some scripts, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, let's talk about that then. Because, this is just half of the book, basically. And and I'm worried because the fate of the sequel hangs on the fact on whether or not they bring in enough money on this, and I don't think they will. Denis Villeneuve, even when he's made even better movies than this, critics wise, like Arrival and Blade Runner 2049, his last two movies, they got much higher reviews, and were universally loved.
Okay.
They still didn't bring in the bacon. Arrival, I can see why, but you think Blade Runner should bring in money, but it didn't, because it was so expensive, and they didn't. That was one of we need to make $1 billion, and they made a few $100 million. That's all. And I'm worried that it's gonna be the same with this, because his style is very unapproachable unless you're into that kind of stuff. Like we said, it's not for a mainstream audience.
No.
There's no quick cuts. There's no jokes. There's one joke in the entire movie. There's a lot of strange dialogue and dreams and talking about destiny and...
hard to convince someone also to go watch a movie that's 2.5 hours long when you can't show them the trailer and be like, look, that's specifically very interesting. Because even if the trailer is, again, very alluring and beautiful, it doesn't show you what this movie is going to be about. It doesn't
it just
entice you with action or anything.
Yeah, and that should be good for getting people to watch it. Ooh, we're going to watch this sci-fi action movie with cool music. But then word of mouth is going to spread that this is a boring, almost 3-hour long drama, basically, with one pretty long and cool action war set piece. But that's about it for action.
Honestly, I thought the war was kind of dull.
Well, I liked the aesthetic of it, because it took place at night and it started blowing up everything.
Yeah.
Beautifully shot. The movie is beautifully shot.
The explosions were gorgeous.
Yeah.
Well, also the rating is pretty high, but it is very early on.
Yeah, it's a 76.
It
is pretty high, but I'm pretty sure that Blade Runner got higher. Let's see. It got an 81. That's pretty high. We're talking Metascore here for Metacritic, not Rotten Tomatoes or anything.
However, Dune has a higher IMDb rating, but it's very early on.
Yes.
A lot of people have not had time to watch it and therefore haven't been able to rate it. Though it has 931 ratings already. Oh wait, no, I forgot that there was a K after the 496 on Blade Runner.
Oh yeah, that's 496,000. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, it's early on to say what other people might think of it, because for now I'm guessing only the super fans or the movie buffs are the ones who's actually gonna see it.
Yes, the Dune heads.
Yeah.
They're called, the fans are called something else, but Dune head is.
Dune heads work.
Yeah.
But I would not see gemene man, the average Joe, being enticed to go watch a 2.5 hour long movie.
Yeah, and
possibly though, you did mention that it is released online as well.
HBO Max, yeah.
More or less straight away.
Yeah, it's going to be on HBO Max the same day. That's the whole thing.
But that's just America though, right?
Yeah, with America, yes.
Yeah.
Or anywhere that you
so
have
the rest
HBO
of the
Max.
World might have to wait a bit longer, which could also diminish the hype.
Yeah, and you can't really
deflate the hype, I suppose.
You can't really count streaming views.
No,
because whether it doesn't matter if people watch it or not, they still pay for the subscription. It's a very different way of looking at
that only
box
works
office.
For Netflix and their own productions, I think.
Not even there, because.
But they usually put the text in the most streamed movie.
Oh, sure. But they can't release any fiscal numbers.
No.
Because
that's true.
I haven't watched any of the Kissing Booth movies, but technically I paid for them. Well,
that's true.
I borrow our parents' Netflix, but you know what I mean.
Family account.
you know what I mean. People who pay for Netflix and don't watch Open House still
Still paid for
still
it.
Still paid for open house. So you can't really.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why I, when back in, was early this year, late last year, when Warner Brothers said that we're going to release all our like 2021 movies simultaneously on HBO Max and in theaters.
Right.
And a lot of like directors got really angry at that, and a lot of fans were like, "Oh, you're just entitled. This is actually great. Yeah, it's great for you as a consumer, not great for the artists or the people making the movie."
We had a lot of that discussion late last year and early this year, that it affects the art.
Yeah.
And the people working on all of these projects.
Yes, because how are you gonna decide if the movie is successful or not?
How are you gonna make up
when people are not paying to watch it? They're just paying a flat subscription fee.
At home, yeah.
Sure, you can get streaming numbers, but how many are gonna get like 1 month of HBO just to get to watch this? Yeah, and then cancel their subscription, and then they only paid like what, $6? That's less than a theater ticket.
Yeah. Yes. However, I mean, they can always know if people like it, but they can't. Yeah, like you said, you can't count that as fiscal income.
No, or it's harder to do.
Value.
Yeah. And by the way, I looked at Jesus Christ. I looked at Blade Runner 2049, his last movie. It cost 150 million, which is about the same as Dune. We looked it up, it was 160 million.
Yes.
It made worldwide. It made not even $260 million. They must have lost some, because 150, of course, then you always double that for marketing and everything.
Yeah, there's always way more.
So they lost like at least $50 million. Lost! Not broke even. They lost $50 million. After spending $300 million, they came out $50 million short.
Luckily, though, is it the same production company?
Yeah, Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Luckily, though, they felt, yeah, well, he can get the same amount of money and make a similar movie.
Sure, I mean, in the long run, $50 million isn't that much for them. I mean, they made that back with Aquaman, because that made over $1 billion, and, you know, of course, the deal with HBO Max. But yeah, and you know, he makes critical darlings, as they're called. His movies are critical darlings, so yeah, they wanna continue to promote good filmmakers, even though their movies might not make as much money as a Marvel movie. I mean, you saw what happened with Tenet. Tenet was also Warner Brothers. Right. That made... oh, they don't have the budget for that. That was probably more expensive.
Probably.
Yeah. That came out... I gotta say, though, that came out in the middle of the height of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan was like, no, you're releasing this now in theaters, not on some fucking streaming site. And they're like, fine. And that made $363 million. But that's during a pandemic. I gotta say, people call that like a failure. And sure, it probably was. They probably lost a bunch of money on it.
Well, yeah, if it had been released 5 years ago before anything had happened in the world, more people would have seen it.
Oh, yes. It would have been up there like his other movies. Because his other movies are mostly successful. But like when everyone was staying home before there was a vaccine, they made $300 million in that movie. Jesus Christ!
I'm thinking about the fact: did Dune get a delayed release, or was this supposed to be released here?
I don't remember.
When you Google it, you get a lot of like automatic search for 2020.
I think because I made a live stream trailer reaction when the trailer was released.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Which was just insane. For some reason, the algorithm chose me over the actual trailer, so I had 17,000 people watching live, which is insane. I usually have like 5 if I'm lucky, 5 people, not 5,000. Now I had 17,000 people, but it was just because, you know. Anyway, and I'll just, I don't remember. Because that was the first trailer. And I don't remember what it said in the trailer. I think it was like, Oh, October 2020. I think so, yeah.
Because if you look at the poster, it says October 22 in theaters and HBO Max.
But that's probably the new one.
22nd of October.
Yeah, but that's because it's a later, it's a new poster. It was not October 22nd in the beginning.
No.
It should say somewhere, but I can't find it.
I was thinking about something regarding that, but now I can't remember what I was thinking about.
Let's see if we can find it.
I got too sidetracked by some
Here,
reason.
let's see. I found something.
No, yes. You know what I was thinking? I was thinking if the release date correlated with the Oscars, anything at all.
No. Well,
sometimes they have a tendency to release bigger movies that they want to be considered for the Oscars towards later of the year, for it to be fresh in the
yes,
minds.
They usually release like around October, November.
Yeah, so this is a little bit early maybe for that. But I do feel like this one will, not that we put any credit behind the Oscars.
No.
But this will definitely be nominated.
Oh, I think this, because it's a sci-fi, or it falls in under sci-fi, it's a space opera, it's going to be nominated for a bunch of stuff, and it might win like costume.
Yes,
but it's not going to win any of the bigger ones.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
But not best movie or best actor.
No.
It's too mainstream for that.
Yeah, it's not, like we said in the last Patreon exclusive episode, it's not a white people drama movie.
Yes.
Which is always what wins. Well, and lately, black people drama movie.
Yeah.
It's not a drama. It's not a drama.
It is kind of a drama.
It is a drama, but it's a sci-fi drama. Yeah. People don't want sci-fi drama. They want marriage story. Drama. They want, I don't know, I guess Parasite. That wasn't a drama, though, but movies like that.
This one will, however, probably, and should, win for costume and, in my opinion, music.
The music, you mentioned music. I think it was Hans Zimmer who made the music.
Yes. He declined to work on Tenet.
Oh, right. To work on
this, yes. According to the previous.
Yes, that's right. I read that too. And I liked some of the music, but other times it didn't feel like it fit.
Oh, I loved it.
And usually when he makes music, it's like it's his music kind of like it's all over the movie all the time. Like, think of the Batman movies. It's music constantly in the Batman movies.
This one did not.
No, it was just music here and there. And for me, that was kind of jarring.
That, actually.
I don't know.
I think it made it interesting. And the kind of music that he used was also very interesting. It wasn't just...
No, it was very different, yes. But
it wasn't just the same bombastic bass that you've heard in every single superhero movie or big movie the last 10 years.
No, it was different. He tried to go more, he used some strange percussions. And that's, that's usually what he does. He experiments with music. And I know some people don't like that, but I usually like his music. But believe it or not, he's only won one Oscar. He's been nominated a bunch, but he's only won once, and that was what? One Oscar. Why doesn't it say which one? He was nominated in 1989 for Rain Man, nominated in 1995 for Lion King, nominated in 1997 for Preacher's Wife, 1998 As Good as It Gets, 1999 for Thin Red Line and Prince of Egypt. Oh wait, he won for The Lion King. There it was. Sorry.
Right. Yes.
But then he's been nominated 1999, 2001, 2010, 2011, 2015, 2018, but never won. And he should have won for Dunkirk. He should have won for Interstellar. He should have won for Inception. I don't know. Maybe he should have won for Gladiator, but he never wins them. He always gets nominated. I don't know why. Because he's very experimental and it's very different, but also good, but he never wins. This one, I don't know. Maybe he won't get nominated. I don't know.
It will get nominated, definitely.
Yeah, I guess.
And again, costume as well. Because even though the costumes were very straightforward,
yeah,
they were very intricate in the same time. At the same time,
yes.
If you really look at them.
No, yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
And I love the details of different colors for different people.
Yeah, and you had like mixing like stuff you could almost see in a runway today with like futuristic looking space suits. Yeah,
and then trash almost with the shawls they would throw on.
Oh yeah, desert wear.
Yeah. I loved how it towards the end of it combines almost all of the different people's fashion or wear.
Well, they're mostly wearing Fremen stuff because the still suits are Fremen wear.
Yes, but you can still see the difference between the one that Timothée Chalamet is wearing and the one the actual Fremen are wearing.
Oh, sure, yeah.
There are worn and desert worn, I suppose.
Yeah.
They look more like the desert people, while his is clean and almost regal.
Yeah.
Because it's a brand new and unused. I appreciated that kind of detail, that they didn't have like clean armors on the people who live in the desert.
Oh yeah. And that's also
that they had like embellished them a bit for themselves.
Oh yeah. And like I said, there's a lot of thought and a lot of work put into the movie, obviously.
Definitely.
But like I said, I just wasn't impressed by it, because sometimes it was almost try hard. Like, look at all this stuff we made. Like, yeah, I get it. Can you
see? I think your opinion is tainted by the fact that you've read this story and seen this story a bunch of times already.
But I mean, I'm not alone at it.
No, of course not.
Let's move on to the reviews. We'll read some of the professional critic reviews, and we'll look at some user reviews, because I haven't read any user reviews.
Aren't a lot, since it's very new.
Sure, yeah,
so we'll have to live with that as well.
But I mean, it's got a few 100 out of 100, like The Guardian and Empire and Total Film. And The Guardian says, Denis Villeneuve's slow burn space opera fuses the art house and the multiplex to create an epic of otherworldly brilliance. Like Total Film says, an astounding spectacle, vast in scale and ambition, prepared to have your breath snatched away. Were you ever like, whoa? Was there ever a wow moment for you? Because I didn't have one. That's
not an out loud wow moment.
No,
but there were a few like oohs.
See, I never even had that.
One almost like, when you like stress out because the character should be moving. The one where he like collapsed by the spice thingy and the worm was coming.
Yeah, sure.
And he couldn't get up. I was like, come on! I actually wanted to scream at him.
Yeah, I never had that. There was never like, speaking of Christopher Nolan again, there was never that Tenet or Inception moment when like when they're in the dream and the city folds in on itself and they start walking on the walls. Basically, was like a whoa moment that happened, or the fight in the hallway when the car is spinning and they start spinning in the hallway. It was like whoa, that was a whoa. I never had that in this movie. I should have, but I didn't. I don't know.
I think this one user review actually kind of summed it up well, though, for what you're saying.
Yeah.
In the title of it, it's Star Wars meets Game of Thrones and Mad Max in an artsy filter. It's been done.
Yes, yeah, because a lot of movies and books have taken inspiration from Dune, so we've seen this before. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But then we have like some. Well, there's not really middling reviews. Well, no, there's kind of middling reviews. We have. Can I get them? Thank you. Oh, that was a long one. Here we go. Hollywood Reporter, David Rooney. The storytelling lacks the clean lines to make it consistently propulsive. And I agree with that. A lot of this, because the story does not move forward. It is just, we're gonna hear all the characters, hear all the different factions, and then they attack for some reason. And that's when the movie starts moving forward, and that's where it ends.
That is one detail that did like confuse me a little. I don't really understand why the Emperor chose to do what he did.
Yeah, that is more... I don't remember how much that is in the book. There's definitely more of that in the book. The Emperor's actually in the book. You get to hear dialogue
not in this
from him.
Movie.
No. Maybe they'll... since they're making two movies... You know what? The second movie is probably going to start with him scheming with the Harkonnen. They're going to do like a flashback to that. Which I don't like that. That is not the way it is in the book, and that is not the way it is in the David Lynch movie.
We don't know that they're going to do that.
No, but it feels like they're going to do that. It's going to be like the Two Towers. It is a
very used concept that people do.
Or like in the Two Towers. It doesn't start where Lord of the Rings stopped. It flashes back to the fight between the Balrog and Gandalf, and you get some more backstory of what happened there. And then you continue the story where it left off in Lord of the Rings.
By the way, we forgot to mention this in the last one. Here you go.
And they do that a lot in movies, and I feel like they're going to do that here. Like, now we're going to get to see when Shaddam IV talks to Harkonnen about what they're going to do.
There is a risk.
And maybe they'll even put in the stuff that's in David Lynch's movie, where the navigating, the Space Guild comes to talk to the Emperor about, like, the spice must flow. And they're like, there are plans within plans, which is a big thing in the movie, or in the book.
Oh, okay.
I feel like they're going to do that, and then we're going to continue with Paul, Jessica, and the Fremen. This was a pretty good one.
I want to call them Freemen.
No, it's Fremen.
Yeah, I know.
It's supposed to be Freemen, but he wanted to sound more like otherworldly. It's Fremen.
Yeah, obviously.
To call them just Freemen would be too obvious.
Yeah.
Vanity Fair gave it a 4 out of 10, or a 40 on Metacritic. And I think this is a pretty good one. With Dune, Villeneuve has the chance to right the wrongs of David Lynch's 1984 misfire. Parentheses, a misfire according to some, anyway. Well, we'll talk about that. And truly honor Herbert's text. But Villeneuve can't help but lacquer it all up to something hyper-polished and hard to touch. And that's what I mean. The organic feeling of the book is kind of lost in all the big empty rooms and brutalist architecture everywhere. It's lacking a little bit of personality. That's what it is. It feels so detached somehow.
Okay.
In a way that doesn't work in the movie. It's like that in the book as well, but it works because it's a written text. It's not a movie. It's very different, books and movies.
Visually,
very, very different. Yeah.
Different, yeah.
And it actually, I think it got one negative review. From Slant. It's 38, so it's basically mixed, because 40 is but still.
It's just below.
But yeah. Dune ends up feeling like an extended prologue for what one can only hope will be a sequel that would clarify its parables and paradoxes.
Yeah.
And that's all this is. Like I said before, this is all set up, basically. It's all introducing all the different clans and houses and emperors.
It's introducing the conflict.
Yes, introducing conflict. It's introducing the concept of the Kwisatz Haderach, this prophesized being, not just like to the Bene Gesserit, but to the Fremen and to everyone knows about, but they call him different things. Jesus, basically.
Well, yeah.
That's what it is. It's a Jesus story. Spoilers.
Well, we kind of figured that out.
Yeah, already. And they're setting it up. Which they also do a pretty bad job of explaining that the Kwisatz Haderach is basically a Bene Gesserit witch, but a male Bene Gesserit.
They mentioned that.
Yeah, they mention it, but they
the very leader of the witches tell Jessica that you were supposed to only have daughters.
Yeah, but they don't explain that the Kwisatz Haderach is supposed to be a male Bene Gesserit. They don't say it outright.
But I figured it out.
Well, that's good then. That's actually good that you figured it out. Because I was like, how are you going to know why he is so special? Because Bene Gesserits are all women. Because women are more composed. They're easier to, they can control their emotions. So having a man have that kind of power to see the future and change the future and control people can be dangerous.
Yeah,
that's why
he has to have.
That's why we only breed
composure.
Yeah, that's why we only breed women. And
I was a bit confused when she said you were only going to have daughters. Like, How do you control that?
They control that.
They can't control that, obviously.
It's controlled. They breathe. They breed specifically like only women. They have sex, and she's like, girl, and then she's gonna give birth to a girl.
But if she doesn't decide, then it will be by chance, obviously.
Well, no, Bene Gesserit decides.
She has to. Okay.
She decides. The thing is,
she chose to have a boy.
Yes, and that's also something they don't explain in the movie, and they can't explain it now unless they do a flashback because Leto is dead. But he first of all the leaders of the houses, Harkonnen,
are male.
Yeah, no, not that. They are. But
that's why he wanted a boy, obviously.
They all get concubines. They all get Bene Gesserit concubines that becomes their like truth sayer. Like with the Emperor, he has Helen Gaius Mohiam, which is the main Bene Gesserit. She's the Emperor's truth sayer. So that's how the Bene Gesserit can more or less like control the universe, because they're everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
And that's why they have plans within plans. That's why they decide, like, we're only going to have women. We don't need a Bene Gesserit man because that's too dangerous. When the time is right, we will make a Bene Gesserit man. But Jessica fell in love with Leto, like proper, not just, I'm his companion. Yeah. And he fell in love with her. And he always wanted a son.
So she
decided to give him a son because she was so in love. And that's why she's kind of shunned by the Bene Gesserits. Because she defied their prophecy.
Why he mentioned, I should have married you.
Yes.
I'm guessing, though, they're not supposed to marry at all.
No, it's just supposed to be a concubine.
Yeah.
But their relationship turned into actual love.
Yeah.
Which is one of those rare moments where they talk about feelings in the book. Which we don't really get between them in the movie, unfortunately.
That bit was cut out, but I can accept that because it's mentioned enough that I figured it out, sort of.
All right, that's fine.
But it's not mentioned too much that you're like, okay, just tell me the rest.
Yeah, sure.
So that I actually like that, and the way they explained why he is the Jesus figure. I'm not gonna even try and remember the names of the different names they had.
Kwisatz Haderach.
Yeah,
it's so nice. It sounds so good.
A bunch of those words are just too complicated for me to even try and pronounce. Yeah. But you get it when they were all chanting it, and someone just mentions like, yes, the one and the mother. It's like, yes, it's him and his mother. Obviously, it's Jesus and Maria.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And then when what was her name? The one who was supposed to be like the overseer of the transition or whatever they called her.
Oh, the Empress. No, not Harold. Yeah, the one
overseer of something.
The overseeing the transition between Harkonnen and Atreides.
When she mentions that he will know your ways without ever having to study them, it's like he is a prophet, or he is part of a prophecy. And again, when the names, I hate names. Javier Bardem's Stilgar. It's like, I've seen you before or something.
Yeah.
They like all can feel that he is the one. So it's like, obviously. All these details just added up to, obviously, we know that he is the Jesus figure.
Sure.
And then, he wins the fight, though he should probably not be able to. Just adds to the fact that he is awesome. Special. He's a special boy.
Very special, yes. Well,
I am very excited to see the first adaptation.
Oh, okay.
And to try and read the book.
Yes, you bought it today after watching the movie. Yeah. It's a very good book. Very good. It's slow. There's a lot of stuff. There's more words but like we said, there's an index that you can look all the stuff up.
Reading the words are easier than just having people say them to me.
Sure.
So.
But it is wonderful once you like immerse yourself into the story. It's a really, really good book. I'm gonna reread it as well.
We're gonna try and do it before we record.
Yeah, so we can talk more about the
Patreon episode. So if you want to hear that part as well. What I think about the book if I manage to finish it.
yeah.
I got the Patreon. That should be out on Monday.
Yes. And I think we could actually wrap this episode up here. I've said everything that I want to say about it. Bottom line, it's a good movie, but on a personal level, I was not impressed. It was like, I could take it or leave it. But like you said, it's probably because I'm so in love with the book. And I didn't really want to go see it in the first place. I tried to be like objective. I sat down, I'm going to watch this, maybe it's amazing. But in the end, it was just like, nah. No, not for me.
Seeing it with fresh eyes, it's a gorgeous movie. But I will be surprised if average Joes are able to actually sit through this.
Yeah. Someone of the reviewers mentioned that. It mixes art house with mainstream. Sure, but I don't think that
it's not mainstream enough.
Yeah, exactly. This might bring in some money, but I don't think it's gonna be like a super hit. It's not gonna be a $1 billion movie. I can't see this being that.
No.
And it feels like that's what they need to make the next movie.
It's kind of a shame though, because it is. You can see the money in it, and it's well spent.
Yeah.
And if they don't make it back, then there's a risk that they won't want to spend that kind of money again.
Which is just insane. That you're going to have half a Dune adaptation made by such a prominent director. Is like, what the fuck?
Yeah. We'll see about that.
We'll see.
We can only... Unfortunately, we can't see the future.
No.
Or control it.
No. We're not the Bene Gesserits.
Exactly. Not even me, who's a woman.
No, yeah. But thank you so much for listening. Well, like I said, subscribe to us on Patreon. So this Monday, we will be doing an episode on the David Lynch movie. We will be talking about the book, and more importantly, we are at the same time recording a commentary track for the David Lynch Dune movie.
Yes.
And that will also be on Patreon exclusively. So please, if you have some dollars to spare, subscribe to us there for all the exclusive stuff, for all the commentary tracks.
If not, check us out on all the socials. Subscribe here on YouTube.
Yes.
Follow on all the podcast pages.
Yeah, of course. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcast or Google Podcast or wherever, we're on YouTube if you want to see our faces. But yeah, that's about it. Next Thursday, we're doing Shining, right?
Yes.
We're starting a little early with the October horror stuff.
Yes.
We're doing a classic.
Working our way into the spookies.
Yes. But that's for next Thursday. Until then, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.